Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's so nice to be among friends. I'm so thankful for you to come for this great occasion. BW Hotelier, I hope, will measure up to your expectations and be something you'd like to read, look forward to reading. Said, I sort of almost made you sound like the trade union leader of the hotel industry. So why don't you set the ball rolling? What do you think are the old challenges? We heard a lot of the old challenges, but what are the solutions? Where do we head from the challenges?
Thank you. Good afternoon. My experience when you deal with the government, you have to understand what the government is all about. The governments keep changing. The chief ministers or the prime ministers keep changing. And then you have to see the thrust that the government is giving and prepare your documentations and your presentations in the areas where they are trying to concentrate so that you're able to achieve a better rate of success. It is indeed sad that with all that we have got to offer, we are still talking about 7 million foreign tourists. And we totally ignore the 1,200 million domestic tourists that has made us, many of us, survive and sit here in the last 2-3 years. It is the domestic tourist that has kept our industry alive. And yet, in all platforms, since the beginning, we concentrate on the international. We must, I'm not saying that we must not, but we tend to ignore this thing. So first of all, the challenge is within that we as an industry have to get together, because the basic problem was that even though the Ministry of Tourism is a nodal agency, it really had nothing in its hand. It was either the states or the other thing.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of the issues, for instance, when we talk about the high cost of capital, and there I bring in Kapil because I know him always to be a whiz with numbers, So, talking about high cost of capital and all, it's not really under the tourism ministry. I mean, it can only pass on your memorandum to the finance minister. So now, Kapil, the high cost of capital and stressed out assets are being talked about. What is your take on it? I mean, what is the way out? And, in that, again, land is another big factor, I guess.
I think it's, so the high cost of capital is definitely there because interest rates are high in the country. All of us are aware of that. But I think a lot of comparisons really happened. All of us can always fault the government. And there are issues there. But I think it was also that I saw a lot of hotels coming up in suburbs and cities, really. And suburbs and cities really work very well in the United States, where suburbs are a fully contained, commercial destination. They have their own offices, they have their own residential, they have their own living. So you look at San Francisco, got nice 5 suburbs with their own commercial activity. But when hotels started coming up in Rohini, in Dwarka, and in places like that, which I have nothing to say, but you see the cost of capital is pretty much the same. The cost of real estate in this country, because of real estate laws, is pretty much the same. So it will lead to stressing out of assets. That is a definite given. So some of the business decisions taken by hotel companies are also, when I look at it, I really find it very strange. What the government can really do is improve last mile execution. So I know it's one of the T's of tourism, and I know it's extremely proper to say that, it's the Prime Minister's vision. It's all great. But except for visa on arrival, which was initiated also in the last government, actually I don't see anything else except great marketing hype and great marketing story by even the present government. So let's talk about last mile execution. Let's talk about cleaning up toilets on monuments. And how long will they do to take that? They were talking to me, I remember in another seminar that I attended with the ministry, they said, we are going to do DRDO toilets which are water-free. Fantastic, but who's going to clean them? They also need to be cleaned. So I think there are huge issues on last mile execution. There are huge issues on getting into details, and it's extremely important to stay away from the marketing hype. But that goes for the private sector as well as for the government. That's my take.
I think, that's very important. The last mile execution, I think it's something which is very close to Saeed's heart. We'll come back to that, but you raised, and Manav, I think, can give a lot of insights into it. You talked about, markets which are not developed, and we see a lot of oversupply in them. But, Manav, what are the markets which you feel are developing and which can take in supply? Because I think every hotelier is like tearing his hair and trying to figure out where will the hotel give them the rate of return that they expect.
I think
I think the problem doesn't lie with which markets you go into. And a couple, I disagree with you. You know, markets like Rohini, Dwarka, Paschim Vihar all have their markets, provided you get into the right segment. I think the problem lies with the individual owner, and because they don't want to follow what is given to them as professional advice. So I think there has to be a correction. Is there anything wrong in having hotel in Rohini, Dwarka, Paschim Vihar? Of course not. I mean, we've got GMs who are in those locations. Those hotels, yes, there's a much more banqueting revenue than there's rooms revenue, but then maybe that hotel should have been built, you know, for that facility. Coming back, I think it's been very interesting. I've been here for 18 years. We've seen 2 or 3 cycles in the hotel market. Right now, we're at, or last year maybe we were at the bottom of the cycle. I think the next 3 to 4, 5 years promise to be very good years because there is not much more supply coming in. Most of the supply that had to come in is already in. And supply cannot just be switched on tomorrow. Supply has to be either under construction or some work has to happen on the supply. And there's not much supply coming in. So those who already have hotels on the ground are going to see an upturn. You have to be patient. I think there are other issues that we need to be looking at. You know, how is the brand owner relationships going? What is happening on the training front? Are the brands doing enough? Because there is a challenge and shortage of talent out there for the hotel industry. What are we doing? I heard someone say energy costs are going up. What are we doing on those fronts? So I think there are a lot of issues that need to be discussed because what tends to happen, we get onto these forums, the government is the easiest group of people to bash up because no one here is left from the government, right? The minister left, everyone has gone with them. So why are we talking about the government? There's no one here to hear us. So let's talk about issues where there are people who perhaps we can make a difference.
Let's ask Kartik here, no? Being the, you have set up a hotel at Manesar, and there was a time when I would have said, why would anyone set up a hotel there? So tell me now, let us see it from an owner's perspective. You talked about the ROE, the return on ego. Is it a return on ego thing? Is it what Zia said, that it was the head, the heart rules over the head? What is it? Sir?
Well, that is correct in many cases, but I can speak for myself and not others. I think the 2 most important components of building any hotel are the cost of land, because cost of land has become a very large component of building a hotel now. So it depends on the kind of business model that you've built. Manav is right. Yes, it makes a huge difference. So I think the question really in such properties is, what is the quantum of money that you're spending? What is your business model? Have you got the land at the right price? Have you spent the right kind of money in building that hotel? So, I think those factors contribute largely how the outcome of a hotel comes out, whatever the location be. Having said that, I think there is a huge amount of scope in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, and especially religious tourism, because, very often we don't talk about what is wrong with the government policy in the right areas. I agree with Manav that there's no one here, there's no point talking about it, but I would like to raise a particular point. See, they don't have any policy which induces the mid-market hotels or promotes or encourages them, because since the cost of land is the same, every owner wants to build a 5-star hotel. Because eventually, you spend the same amount of money you would have spent to build a 3-star or a 4-star or a mid-market hotel as a 5-star hotel. So while it might not be their solution to go for a 5-star hotel, that's where the want to build a 5-star hotel comes from. So if there was segmentation and pricing of land areas in particular areas, and where government could actually earmark that this is what the development zone would be for different segments, it would be better, from that perspective.
I think to say that land is not possible to, I wear a third hat. I run a company called SAMI. We started 4 years ago. I have 25 hotels under that. 10 of them are operational. 16 of them are Formula Ones. Okay, and out of the 16 hotels, 8 of them are operational right now, right? They give you an average rate of around 2,000, 2,200 rupees. They cost 1/4 or 1/5 of what it costs to make an upscale hotel. So why would you not build a budget hotel? I'm telling you, half the problem lies is that people don't want to go say that I'm an owner of a Formula One. They want to go say I'm an owner of a 5-star hotel. And the basic crux of the problem inherently starts from that point, not from the point of, because they are, Patu has done a fantastic job at Lemon Tree, building up a huge portfolio of 30, 35 hotels in the last 10 years. We've got 24 hotels, 9 operational in the last 4 years. So there are examples out there that people can follow.
Yeah, Kapil, it's interesting that you raise the issue because you represent the other end of the hoteliering spectrum, the luxury end.
There's nothing wrong with doing luxury
No,
hotels.
I'm saying, but what
I
my
think-
question is, what is the future? Everyone's talking about tier 2, tier 3,
So,
mid-segment. What is the future of your business?
So see, from our perspective, we are fine. Luxury makes money. If somebody thinks tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 makes money, great. If somebody thinks economy makes money, great. All I'm saying is have a good business model. Please study the market very well and have a sound, good business model, and then take a judicious call. We're not the smartest guys in business. There are many people who are more smarter than us, but there is a niche that everybody conforms to. And I think Formula One is a great niche to conform to. I know from the perspective of what Mr. Shervani just was saying on the unregulated hotels, I think what the Ibis has done at Delhi Airport is a phenomenally successful business model. Everything else, I think at the Delhi Airport, personally, I'm not convinced on the AeroCity at all. But that's totally a personal opinion. I'm very happy to be proven wrong. But I think the best model on the Delhi Airport is the Ibis. It's fantastic value for money.
I also agree. And I think, Oberois have a fantastic DNA. Unfortunately, a fantastic DNA cannot be just copied. So they know how to run luxury hotels and should stay in that segment. And if they had to grow, I would love to see a hotel in London and New York and global locations if they want. That would be their growth strategy, not going into secondary locations. So I think everyone needs to play to their strength. And I think they're doing, Kapil and the team is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean, so there is room for luxury, and there is room for the hotels Saeed was talking about, 3-star, but the whole idea is that business strategy has to be right, You can't build a hotel which is built according to Oberoi standards in a location which cannot sustain those room rates.